My name's Major Brendan Nottle with the Salvation Army here in Melbourne, and it's a real privilege for me to be here today for a couple of reasons. One is I'm really excited about Geva's 200th game. Isn't that fantastic?
I know. 20 years at elite level, 13 years here in Australia, and I'm excited to be at the Magpies playing my 200th game. So, a very exciting time for me and my team.
Yeah, which is amazing. And one of the things we really love about Geva is her heart for people, especially people that are doing it tough. And Geva and I have crossed paths a number of times. And Geva was handing meals out with us on Christmas Day, and she's done a number of things like that to people that are doing it really tough. And it's not just about handing out meals, but her real care and interest in people that are basically forgotten by mainstream society. So that's what we love about Geva. And the other thing we love too is that Geva has said that she's willing to have an initiative this Sunday when Collingwood play the Giants, where people can bring a blanket along. And we're rapt because we'll be able to hand those blankets out to people that are sleeping rough in the middle of a really cold Melbourne winter. And the other thing is that $1 from every ticket sold from the Collingwood Giants game will go to the Magpie Nest program, which is a really wonderful initiative as well. So thank you. It's great.
Very welcome. And I think obviously it's a really important game for us for netball, for where we're sitting in this season. But likewise, at the end of the day, it's more than just a netball game. And if we can connect with a beautiful program like Magpie's Nest and be able to connect with people and be able to do our best, it was great to be able to hand out meals for the homeless at Christmas time and to be able to keep them warm on these sort of chilly Melbourne days and nights. It's, I think, just as important for us. So really encourage people to buy a ticket because that $1 does go to the Magpie Nest program, which does wonderful work that Brendan's obviously spoken about previously, but also bring your blankets along because we'd love to be able to donate those out.
Fire away, everyone.
Geva, it's Roy from the Age here. Congratulations on the milestone. What's it mean to you to reach 200? Because it is such a rarity in sports. We only have 15, 20 games in a season.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. It's probably only been this week that I've started to really think about it, and I think that's probably testament to the fact that every year I've stepped out, there's been new challenges along the way. But for me, I think the most exciting thing, the important thing is that I've had some amazing connections along the journey with teammates and coaches, and I think that's what sort of kept me going for so long. And suddenly I look back and 20 years has passed, and now it's my 200th game. So for me, I'm obviously very grateful to be in this position to be able to sort of play out my 200th game, but very grateful for the people I've met along the way. And for me, that's what's kept me, I guess, along and my longevity within the sport.
What's it taught you, or what sort of things have you learned along the way? Because you've had some seasons with the Vixens where you girls just took the league by storm. You've had some tough ones, both at Vixens and Collingwood. What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way?
Yeah, I think when you've sort of been in the sport over a decade, you definitely pick up on things. And the most important thing that I've learned is you're not set in stone. I think as an athlete, you've always got to be evolving, always got to be changing, adapting, and setting up a starter club with Lightning and having success there, and then coming to a club like Collingwood where it's a new netball program, so looking at building culture and success as well. And I think for me, the things that I've learned is you've got to stay true to yourself. You've got to make sure that you believe in who you are, and then you can voice your opinion. And at the end of the day, for me, it's all about inspiring and empowering not just those around me, but those that I can touch sort of further afield as well. And being at a club at Collingwood, we've got such an extended reach, and for example, this Magpies netball program, Magpies Nest program, we're able to actually really connect with a lot more, and it's more than just a game. So I think that's what sort of kept me in it, and they're definitely the keys to my driving success.
Geva, how have the team bounced back this week from sort of frustrating loss last round and a few weeks where it's been a bit rough? What have you seen from the fight back from the girls this week?
Yeah, it's been probably a really frustrating sort of 5 to 6 weeks with so much uncertainty and obviously being on the road. We're obviously really delighted to actually have a full week here in Melbourne to train and then be able to play in front of our home crowd. And I think for us it's about the intent to not just sort of turn up and make sure we kick butt on Sunday, but make sure that every session that we're doing in the lead up to that we're sort of preparing and we stick to our game plan. So I think there's just a really sort of sturdiness amongst the girls that we weren't happy with our last performance against Adelaide. And yes, a lot of things didn't go our way, but at the end of the day, we know how to sort of step out on court and execute a game plan, and probably that was the most disappointing thing from our last performance. So very important that we step out on Sunday, we're collective as a team, and the intent's there from every single player.
How long has it been since you've had a full week in Melbourne? Have you got the got the calendar in front of you to know?
I haven't, but I believe it's around 6 or 7 weeks. This is actually our last official home game here in Melbourne. We have been on the road and unfortunately been away for a lot of the games, and particularly some of our important games like our Indigenous rounds. But it's beautiful that it's NAIDOC week this week, and I think we have the privilege to be able to play in our Indigenous dresses, which our home crowd haven't been able to see in person. So that's really exciting for us. But yeah, it has been a fair while, and I think what people don't realise is it's the uncertainty that goes into the week lead up and actually the day of the game. I know when we played up on the Sunshine Coast, we didn't know if we were going to be playing 3 or 4 hours before, so you're trying to keep your head switched on and make sure you focus in. But they're not excuses for us. We know at the end of the day that we want to step on court and deliver a good game plan, which the coaches have come up with a fantastic one. So no excuses aside, or those excuses aside, it's just about turning up and delivering the right play for us.
You say no players set in stone. Do you have a few more years of stone left in the legs to get going?
Touch wood. The body doesn't feel too bad. Over the sort of 5 or so years ago, I had a bit of wear and tear in the knees, but they're pretty good. The back's playing up a little bit, but I think that's just tall people problems. So once I get a good pre-season under my belt again post this season, really looking forward to having some solid couple of years here with Collingwood, and then building towards Commonwealth Games next year and World Cup the year after with England netball.
I think you guys mentioned it before, but where does the money go for Magpie Nest? Obviously, you mentioned that the $1 from each ticket. So, what type of programs are sort of within that Magpie Nest?
So there's 2 things that are happening on this Sunday between 1pm and 3pm. People can drop off their blankets. So you might have a spare blanket in your cupboard or one that you're not using anymore. Drop that off to us at our truck that'll be parked outside the Holden Centre between 1pm and 3pm. And the $1 from every ticket will go towards providing a program which is not just about housing. Because when we talk about the issue of homelessness, we don't describe it as houselessness. We describe it as homelessness, because what we're saying to people is you don't just need a roof over your head. You actually need a place which is safe, a place which is warm, a place where you can recreate, you can retreat and you can rebuild. And so the $1 from every ticket will go towards enabling us to get people to a dentist, enabling us to get people to a mental health worker or a doctor, or it might help get them dressed in new clothing so they can go for job interviews. So it's about doing all of those extra things to help people get back on their feet and be human again.
Jenny Sinclair, I'm just speaking on behalf of the English Netball Show podcast today, and just a couple of questions for our English listeners. You've been in Australia for a long time now, but why is representing England still so important to you?
Hello, Jenny. Yeah, I mean, from my first international cap, which is 20 years ago to the date on Sunday, it's always been a privilege. It's nothing that I take for granted. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in the setup for 2 decades now, and we've always said that we've sort of wanted to, or we've always sort of walked the walk, and we haven't talked the talk. And obviously in 2018, coming home with that gold medal for the Commonwealth Games was finally that a tick box there. So to kind of go where no England team's gone before, and to be able to go back to back for a Commonwealth Games, and to be able to get into a gold medal final for World Cup are still on my agenda. And I really love the fact of the coaching team that we've got in place at the England Roses, and looking forward to some of the new girls that are coming through the England setup. And it's exciting to see how Super League finished up, and I'm excited to see the 6 girls based out in Australia and one over in New Zealand, how we can connect together. But for me, I love the challenges of building combinations and seeing what we can do, and trying to go where no one's been before.
And Geva, one of the intriguing things about the team that Jess has put together, the coaching team, is that with Liana Leota, Olivia Murphy and Sonia McCloma, she's brought in a real New Zealand and Australian coaching influence as well, which is very clever. Sonia being one of your closest friends, what's she going to bring to that coaching team?
Yeah, obviously I've played many years with Sonia, and she is a close friend of mine, and I really love the way that she coaches. She doesn't beat around the bush. She says it how it is, and she comes from a very sort of defensive background in what she can see, but she also knows how to play a good attacking game, which I think adds to what she brings defensively. And being based out in Australia for the last 10 years, she's obviously picked up the nitty-gritty and how to kind of grind out games defensively. So really excited to have that combination, obviously having the 2 in the mid-court with Liana and Olivia, and then Jess is leading the attack end and Sonia back in the defensive end. So really excited to see that international coaching panel sort of come together and what they kind of deliver as a game plan for us as an England girls setup.
And Geva, I can't go past the coincidence of you playing a 200 game on exactly the 20th year since you made your international debut. That's uncanny.
Yeah, thank you for picking that up, Jenny. I believe it was you who first noticed that. So, made my international debut on the 11th of July 2001, and 20 years to the date, I'm making my 200th game appearance at elite level, which is pretty uncanny and pretty bizarre. So, hopefully, the gods are aligned and we're able to sort of get the job done with the Collingwood Magpies on Sunday.
And what can you remember about that very first game that you played for England? You came up with some pretty good touches against Irene Van Dyke.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of nerves in there, a lot of unknown, and I literally just stepped on court, and fortunate enough that we had a very vocal back line, and I know they're probably sort of talking to me all the way through, and I was just up and about, and it's quite funny to see the footage because I definitely look like Bambi out there, and I'm very energetic and just bouncing around everywhere, and probably it's one of those you step on court and people don't really know what you're going to sort of deliver and achieve, and I was able to go out there and get my hand and medal in a few plays down court. So yeah, definitely a bit that I've learned and hopefully change over the years and become more of a sturdy person at the back there.
Terrific. Well, thank you and best wishes for your 200th.
Thank you, Jenny.